Sensational Saturday. Welcome to another exciting, life changing edition of the D Word. This is brought to you by the Divorce Dynasty, and this is Furley Almonte, your host, with my fabulous and fierce co host, Carolina Denhart. She's a divorce attorney, family attorney, and also an international law attorney who is going to help change your lives through the Divorce Dynasty platform. And today we have an amazing guest who is going to also change your bottom line when it comes to confidence in sales. She's a sales strategist, a business coach, and she uses many different modalities, being able to communicate with a lot more confidence. Welcome to the show, Sandy. And of course, Carolina will shoot the first question.
Thank you so
Good,
much for having me.
good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Divorce Dynasty Show. Indeed, we are all in pink. We are all spring ready. We are excited to be here with you today. And what a morning it's been, right, Furley? Just this morning on Wake Up with Marcy, I did my segment on vaccinations and divorce. So many things happening for people in their lives right now as they're dealing with the world potentially opening back up, but at the same time, still dealing with the aftermath of what has been a new normal for us given the pandemic. And while we go back and while we spread our wings and spring is here, divorce is still happening. Divorce is still on the rise. Many people, unfortunately, are dealing with the end of their marriages. And the question becomes, what's next? For women that have been stay at home moms, or for women that were laid off during the pandemic that now have to go back to work because they need money to help support themselves. Insert Sandy. Sandy comes to us with a wealth of experience, not only having gone through her own situation in her life, but identifying that women sometimes need to go back to basics, camp zero, and redefine who they are. So, Sandy, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this today. So my company, I am a sales strategist. I work on the mindset all the way down to sales skills and strategy, business strategy on the back end, mindset, sales, and business strategy, depending on what each person in particular is looking for or looking to achieve. I believe it's all about confidence and looking at a situation saying, I can do this is what we don't tell ourselves as women. It's just one of those philosophies that for some reason instinctually being a mother or being the caretaker, we always take a back seat and we don't put ourselves first and think about like, how can I show up? And I've been working with women and men for years. I don't want to say I don't work with men as well. I just found that I used to work in finance. So for me, working in finance, it was 95% men. And I went into it like hungry and I was ready to go and I wanted to take on the world. And I realized that wasn't the way to sell. It was masculine, it was bold, it was ugly. And we're not men, we're women. So
One of the things that I often see in my clients when we're talking about male versus female, and I don't want to be stereotypical or sexist, but I will be for a moment. The men that come to see me tend to be more organized. They seem to have a structure of how they're going to undo their marriage and what the next steps will look like. Where women come at it from a more emotional perspective and oftentimes lacking that plan to keep them focused. And I think you hit a really important point that in order to move to your next chapter, whether it be professionally or psychologically, emotionally, you need to have some goals that are not above and beyond what you could accomplish. Because the last thing you want to do is feel like you're failing as your life is going through transition. But you need to be structured and organized. Sandy, how do you help women do that come to you and say, I have this great business idea. I just went through a divorce or I'm going through a divorce, but my God, Sandy, I don't even know where to begin.
That's like the conversation right there. That is everything that I've heard. So for me, I came from the planning world with divorced women. That's how you and I actually met.
That's right. Years ago.
Yeah. And I realized that they were holding themselves back from creating these businesses because they didn't feel that they had the influence to do so. And as women just are nervous to sell anyway. So I asked them several questions, like what is their passion? What are they seeing? Where they come from? What are their life experiences? For me, I ran businesses and I actually ran my ex-husband's business with them. And I learned that, that's all valuable. Even if you run your household, and we are emotional creatures. I mean, there's no getting around the fact that women are emotional, but we can use it to our advantage. So finding out how that person's personality, like if a woman is sitting in front of me and they have this brilliant business idea, we write it down on paper, get it out of their head, put it on paper and say, what can we turn this into? If you have a life experience where, maybe you want to start an online coaching business. I mean, that's how I started. I took my experiences from my divorce, from my fear of cold calling. I'm putting an age on myself, but we all went through those times when I was scared to pick up the phone. I was scared to put myself, whatever out there means, but I was scared to put myself out there. So I try to find where people are holding themselves back. What are your limiting beliefs? And once we establish all of that and where they're, let's look at your strengths. I can work on anyone's weaknesses. Thank God I have that ability, and that does help. That's why it's so important to work on the mindset first, and then we can work on the business. There's so many women out there with brilliant, brilliant ideas, especially right now. We take for granted the things that we know. And if we could just take what we are really good at and we can box it into an idea. So it's an amazing thing. I don't know. It's kind of like puzzle pieces to me. I can see it. So if we start talking, I can see how to put that together.
One thing that that you have said actually is the advantage of us women is the emotional intelligence. Because the emotion actually makes us connect a little bit better than men do, right? Now, Sandy, I'm very curious. Okay, there are people, of course, who are looking to start their own business, which you addressed, but there are also people who are already in business but seem to be struggling because they cannot, say, for example, communicate their value confidently. What are the most common struggles that these women or men are facing who are already in business, and how can you help them?
So the common issues are, like I said, it comes from fear. We attract our own reality. So I find that women and men are commitment phobic. You're going to attract the same. So when you're selling, you have to be believable, correct? We have to believe in ourselves. A lot of inner child wounds from years ago have changed our coding. We don't realize it. We don't even know it's present. So I look to them and say, we're procrastinating for a reason. We're sitting in overwhelm, fear, anxiety, doubt. We don't know how to get ourselves out of that. So how am I going to pick up the phone and sell myself when I'm still sitting with these internal struggles? And I find that women, they just lack confidence, but it's stemming from somewhere. So we have to get to the root cause.
So next to me are 3 books that I purchased during the pandemic, and you'll recognize this quickly. It's all The Power of the Secret, right? So it's The Power Hero and The Greatest Gift. And I am a huge believer of the fact that you will attract what energies you give out. And although men may not want to have this conversation as they're going through transition, I think a lot of women want to, because they question why they make the same mistakes over and over again. And Sandy, to your point, it's because there's these beliefs that are limiting them. So if a woman comes to you and says, I've tried this 4 times, I've tried to start a business. Now more than ever, I have to do this because I'm going to need to be financially independent. I just went through a divorce, or I'm considering divorce. Where do you begin with them? And do you have other professionals that work with you to assemble a team to help them transition to meet their goals?
Well, I went back to school so that I could certify to become a neurolinguistic programmer. I do NLP. I also am a hypnotherapist. And the reason I did that was because of what we just talked about. I used to do sales training all the time. And it was like, I was a sales manager. It was very numbers driven. And it was all about work harder, more phone calls. And that's the world I came from. When I started to open people up and say, there's a reason why we're not making the phone calls. There's a reason why I'm not selling. It's not just about talking to more people. It's about putting yourself in a position where you understand where your headspace is. So the first thing I do is I work with them on a goal timeline and understanding what is holding them back. And I do the same questions over and over and over in every session that I have for the first time. And that's going to really help me to dig down to what that issue is. And then maybe we're going to have to do hypnotherapy. Maybe we have to get into your brain a little bit and find out why you're stuck in that coding. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. You just pulled up the secret, but there's something called neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is stemming from when your childhood, you actually have your brain waves that will code to a certain reason that you're stuck in those moments. Let's say, maybe you're a child of an alcoholic, and your parents are fighting. You don't know what you're coming home to. You're addicted to disappointment. And you can't get yourself out of that moment. So it carries on with us for life. And until I don't want to say rewire, but it is like reconstructing and rewiring your brain to think differently. There's chemical endorphins that are released when, like, people do you ever hear someone says, oh, I knew that was going to happen. This always happens to me. There's actually
it's the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's basically setting yourself up for the doom and gloom that you think is going to happen, rather than believing that the positive will happen. So you're right. It is a way of needing to switch the way that you think. Mm-hmm. And how critical is it to do that work before you start a new venture, whether it's a new relationship? We just launched Love Second Time Around with the Divorce Dynasty platform, or whether it's a new business venture. If you're stuck in your old patterns, Sandy, what you're saying is that you're not going to accomplish those goals.
You're not going to get anywhere. We're going to always return back to where we were. That's why the force of average, people return back. Lottery winners win millions of dollars and then they're broke because we haven't changed ourselves. So what I do is I do identity work. So let's say that you're wanting to be, a six-figure earner, and you have this brilliant business idea, and we get everything going for you. It's set up perfectly. And now I put you in front of a prospect, and we can't close them. We can't close them because we have internal struggle. We don't believe in whatever we're selling. We don't believe in ourselves. So I create a new identity. You can call yourself whatever you want, right? Superwoman 2.0, whatever you want to be. And we see where you are now. We see what it's going to take for you to get to that 2.0 version of yourself. So it's kind of like going to the doctor, and when I open you up, now I'm able to prescribe what I think is going to be the best remedy for where you want to go. But I have so many people. I'm in a world of coaching online, and I do a lot of my business online. I used to do brick and mortar, but with the COVID, this has been perfect. It was a great transition. So when I start to look at these people and everybody's following all these gurus that are saying, here's your model to six figures, but it doesn't include the mindset work. So you can give me all the courses in the world and I'll pay thousands of dollars for these executive coaches, but they're not doing the internal work. And we're going to return to that force of average. We're going to stare at our computer screen, and we're going to be creating that overwhelm that we can't get out of.
And before you continue, I'd like to, I'm sure so many people out there listening are like, hypnotherapy, how is it different from all of those carnival hypnotists that will actually make you do crazy things? One click, they're making you come back to how you were. But how does it work? I myself, I'm baffled. Like, how does she's going to hypnotize me? I've heard of hypnosis for losing weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does it work? Does that mean that I am constantly going to be in a trance?
I love that. I don't make anybody cluck like chicken. There's hypnotherapy, there's stage hypnotherapy, where the people that are making the others, and that's a whole different skill set. I don't have any study that at all. Okay. I do clinical hypnotherapy. So what I do is I sit with people, and we it's a trance-like state. It's almost like a REM, like right before you wake up. That's what it feels like. So you have your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. Your conscious mind creates what we say, what comes out of our mouth every day. The subconscious is what drives your actions and behaviors. So we're working on the subconscious mind when we do hypnotherapy. So we're putting you into a trance-like state, which is enabling us to go into your psyche, into your unconscious mind. And let's say that you want to lose weight. And now we put a program into your head that you want to be a certain goal. Now, everything with your subconscious mind needs to be on the positive. It doesn't know negative. So if I say don't worry, all your subconscious mind hears is worry. So it's all in the languaging. It's all in the way that I'm programming you while you're in this trance-like state. You're never going to do anything that doesn't keep you safe. Your subconscious always keeps you safe.
Thank you for that. Carolina, how do you see hypnosis fitting into people who are going through divorce so that they can get out of that funk, of not feeling confident about themselves?
As Sandy was saying this and she's talking about weight loss, my mind immediately went to women repeating a pattern of bad relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I was married to insert name, and now I'm in the same relationship with the same person, yet he's a different man. And then it happens a third time and a fourth time. And it's something that breaks the person because they start blaming themselves for what is wrong with me. Why does this keep happening to me? And Sandy, I think what you're saying is that there's some pattern that needs to be fixed, broken, recoded, so that we don't attract or seek out that same type of an individual. Can you explain that?
So I'm divorced, obviously, and I realized that after I left my ex-husband, and we're still very close, thank God it was amicable. When I look at the men that I dated after him, there was a lot of the same pattern behavior based on things that I needed to change about myself, about what I sought out. And I realized that I went to hypnotherapy. And it was something that was really important for me to try to understand myself better. And it's not about shame and guilt. It's not about passing blame to anyone, because everybody takes responsibility in a divorce. But women tend to harbor resentment, bitterness, and then we're going to fulfill the same set of feelings that we're used to again. So like I said before, it's almost as if it's like an endorphin rush. You get that dopamine high of saying, this always happens to me. I can't find love. I'm not worthy. And when we stay in that space, so what we need to do is during hypnotherapy, we're coding your subconscious to understand that you are worthy, that these things that you're thinking about yourself, that we're actually taking your thought process and changing it to pattern behavior that is in a positive light. And I couldn't say anything enough about hypnotherapy.
But how do you stay there? Like, do you have to go through like a series of programs, a number of sessions to be able to somehow cement it?
Well, it's usually, I would say it's a 90-minute session that can cure one thing at a time. So there's things that we do timeline therapy. So I'm also time techniques certified, and that goes with the goals and the identity work. And we actually put those on the timeline, and then we embed them into your subconscious. So if you're losing weight, you'll say, very specifically, I want to lose 42 pounds by March 1st. Your subconscious needs that specificity. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make your subconscious work for you. So when you go to the refrigerator, your conscious mind might be starving and you see something in front of you, but your subconscious mind is going to say, remember that goal that we put into your subconscious? Don't eat that. And it really.
So Sandy, for those that are watching that I'm sure are like, how do we call you? What do we do? Because people are struggling with bad patterns and they're seeing a negative impact on their lives as they're trying to move forward. If you're doing this by Zoom now, how does this look in reality? Insert woman's name calls you tomorrow. How does this work?
And we schedule an appointment. We do a strategy session. So I find out where you are now, where you would like to be. I ask you very poignant questions, understanding your life. They may not make any sense to you why I'm asking them, but it's all in why, my method to my madness, and understanding what's holding you back. Generally, it takes me 10 minutes to figure out where that person is stuck, just because I've been doing it for so long. And there's certain languaging that I'm listening for. And I ask questions that are going to bring those things out. Most of us don't know why we're stuck. We don't know why we're holding on to that weight, that aggression, those bad relationships. If we knew, we try to fix it. But there has to be some kind of intervention in there, and this is such a quicker method to get that person to a next level than therapy. And nothing against therapy. I loved therapy. I thought it was a great thing. It helped me be a better mother and, family and work and keep my head straight during the divorce. But this is a much quicker method because we're going right to the root cause of the problem, and we're working on you. And therapy could take 3 years for you to uncover your past. What I do is working on your future. We're
And
staying very
Sandy,
present.
what is the cost associated with this? If you're saying that you could help somebody potentially in a 90-minute session, I feel like everybody's going to be running to call you today.
Yeah, it's sometimes it takes two, because sometimes you have an underlining issue. So there's going to be a 2-session, and that's about $350 for a 90-minute session. But I mean, the way that I look at it is therapy is $200 a session, and you may have to go every week for a year. So there's different elements, and it all depends. I mean, this is just part of what I do and how I package my services. But I have people that come to me strictly just for hypnotherapy.
No, she did say about like working with the past baggage, right? And unloading that at the same time going forward. You actually have a gift for our audience. And please tell us about what that gift is about and how they can access it.
So I will, if we can post a link, that'd be great. What it is it's called the Master of Asking. And anyone who's out there that's looking to become more influential, whether it's everyone sells, we sell every day, whether it's to our kids, our parents, whether we're picking up the phone to order pizza, there's a sales element and an influential element to what we do each day. So asking the right questions, people, I don't know if you guys, always think about things like somebody says, oh my gosh, you talk so much, you'd be great in sales. But that's not true. In reality, what we're doing is we're asking questions and listening. We're always listening. And when we use that language pattern back with people, then we're taking their words and we're putting it back on them. So little things like when someone says, I have to have, and that's a sales buying signal. Like, we're looking for that. And we use those language patterns right back to them. If I was a realtor and I walked in a house and I said, I have to have a second bedroom and I really need to have laundry on the second floor. Now I'm going to go show you a house and I'm going to say, well, you have to have a second bedroom and you need to have the laundry on the second floor. And our mind is going to work in that, wow, that was great. But it's our own language. So these are questions that are directed at pulling information from people and having an understanding of how their thought process. How do they buy? We all, as consumers, in Carolina, you have a customer, a client who comes in to see you and they sit down and you want to retain them. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. So asking the questions that are going to pull out why they would want someone like you is so important. And it's in the way that we ask the question. And it's the way that we, our language patterns go mirror back to them. It's building rapport. It's all about building rapport.
Love that language patterns. I would like to take this moment also for Carolina to talk about the divorce dynasty. As you can very well see, we just gifted you with wisdom from Sandy Papavero, who is actually a sales strategist. She's a business coach. She's a time technique expert, NLP, hypnotherapist. My goodness, you are a bundle of gift and light to so many people out there. And here in the divorce dynasty, we are able to offer so many different resources. Carolina, why don't you talk a little bit about divorce dynasty?
Sure. So Divorce Dynasty started a little bit over 3 years ago in response to my own journey through my own divorce, where I quickly identified that people working together and creating a black book of professionals, go-to experts, and a support system for women that are completely lost, rug pulled out from underneath them, not knowing where to begin, is the answer to success. Right now, we have about 50 professionals part of the platform. Anybody from doctors, lawyers, bankers, mortgage professionals, even a matchmaker. We identify what you need. I call it the triage nurse process. Client comes in, we quickly dissect the situation and plug in the professionals you need. You walk out empowered, you walk out with access to these professionals, at your fingertips. Most importantly, it saves you counsel fees because you're working with these other professionals to help you put your life back together, while I, as your lawyer, help you navigate the legal process. It's a brilliant a la carte service, transitional platform to helping you achieve the life that you want.
Beautiful. And to be surrounded by very positive people. As you can very well see, it's cheaper than a shrink. Yeah, exactly. Just to,
And much more positive. There's a lot of great energy. You know, anything in life that's worth achieving takes a lot of work, but you can't go at it alone. So people like Sandy and Furley, who's also an inspirational coach, an international author, insurance professional, these are all people that you need when life seems darkest. Do not try this alone. Don't Google this. Don't Google how do I get divorced. This is not Google time. This is a time to surround yourself with people that have experienced what you are trying to achieve. Everything comes from experience, ladies.
yeah. Sandy, please share with us 3 tips on how we can communicate more confidently.
Watch what you say to yourself first. Listen to your own language and what you tell yourself on a daily basis, even if you have to write it down. Listen to those negative patterns. When you're holding yourself back, you're doing it to yourself first. It's coming from internal. That's number one. Number two, learn people's patterned behavior. In order to sell to someone, we need to know what their representational system is. So the second tip would be finding out if someone's auditory, visual, if they're kinesthetic, or if they're auditory digital. And those 4 elements is going to help us to sell better to them because we're going to use what is important to them. Some people want charts. You're a public speaker. You know that you have to have everyone's attention. You have to break it into quadrants, right? So that's number 2. Then I would say that number 3 is for you to do the self work. Do the work. It doesn't just come naturally. It needs to be something that you do every single day is to work on yourself. Put yourself first. Self-care, self-care, self-care. That is by far what a life-changing. Anyone who's gone through a divorce knows that there's a lot of emotion that goes on.
You know, last words on what you said about putting the order in business for your business.
I'll put
Did I say that correctly?
put the business in the order of your business. So you're
Yeah.
taking care of your business. What I do is I'm looking at your business and I'm putting it in order so that you can do your business, taking care of it. And it's just a concept that we had come up with because like Carolina said, it's very concierge service. And when you can come to someone that it's what you need. We don't always know what we need. And when I was going through my divorce, obviously I was completely overwhelmed. There was so much that goes into it. You're trying to make sure that your family's okay, getting back to work. I had to go back, with 4 kids. I had to figure bobbing and weaving and how am I going to make it and what am I going to do? I will say the one thing that I kept in my heart the whole time was leading like a lady. Always keep into your feminine energy and lead like a lady.
Lead like a lady, talk like a man, lead like a lady. Woohoo! Right? Yeah, well, that movie. By the way, one of the taglines that I saw in your Facebook profile was that about doubling your income. If there is one very powerful sales technique that you can share with our audience right now, what would it be to help them double their income?
The first thing that I would say is find out what's holding you back. Absolutely 100% why you're living in that fear. Because if we don't put ourselves in a position to make money, then it's not going to just happen. So to double your income, we need to get that confidence. And in order to get that confidence that you can ask for the sale, we have to believe in ourselves. So mindset first.
So how do we get in touch with you?
That sanity is, doing the same thing over and over again, right? And expecting different results. So many of professionals and clients and people in general say, why is this pattern continuing? Why can't I move on? Whatever you're trying to move on to. And it's because you're repeating the same pattern that does not work and is not aligned with what you're trying to achieve. So Sandy, I think that this really was one of the best shows I think that we've done, Furley, and I for one would think that anyone going through a transition in life should contact you, speak with you. I don't care if it's quitting smoking, losing weight,
Mhm.
getting over a relationship, breaking a pattern. You are instrumental in the transitional process.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyone can pick me up on Messenger. That's usually how that they contact me. I have so many different modes of getting in touch with me, and that just seems to be the most popular one. And I do a half an hour free call, so we can get to the bottom of the issue, and generally I can put it together. There are so many talented women that are being held back by their own selves out there, and if we could just get them to get past those limiting beliefs, as Furley had said before as well, the world is out there. People are ready to buy. Let's do this, right? I mean, it's
Do this. I love it. I'm pumped up already. That is absolutely amazing. Sandy, thank you so very much again. Like Carolina has a knack also of find the right powerful individuals to actually bring to us through the Divorce Dynasty platform and through the D word. Okay, for us to be able to help transform lives. So let go of what no longer serves you. Connect with Sandy. Help you get out of that funk and shed that limiting belief so you can begin to embrace your brand new beginning, whether you're divorcing or you're in a business and you're looking to explore and expand. This is your time. You're just like the spring, you're ready to bloom. We're just waiting for you to come out and basically
that.
your greatness, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you so very much.
Ladies.
Claim your gift at Sandy Papavero's Facebook profile, and you can see it. It's free gift there. It's claim. It's called Master of Asking. Carolina, thank you again so very much for always being the light in the love. In the life of many people going through life transitions, especially divorce. You are one fierce and fabulous, friendly and beautiful in every single way. And I'm blessed to have you
Thank
also
you.
on my friend.
Thank you.
So,
I just want to leave our audience with, don't let the mistakes of the past pave the wave of your future. Get the support system you need. Life is precious, it's short. Just because things went wrong doesn't mean that tomorrow can't look completely different.
Absolutely love that. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Thank
So,
you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much for the
ladies.
show, ladies. Thank you.
Yeah.
wonderful. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Go out there and shine. Take care now. From the D word, this is Furley Almonte and Carolina Denhard with our special guest, Sandy Papavero. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.